I was very sad. I was very hurt that daddy wasn't there, but I had no one to talk to. I couldn't express that. So just bringing myself back to that and not wanting my daughter to have to experience that.
Now, whether you're married or not, it's always difficult when two people with kids decide it's time to end their relationship. We all know that breaking up is hard to do, but what about when there are kids involved? Well, one Toronto author has created a series of books to make explaining the situation to kids that much easier. But before we get into all of those details, I do need to do a couple of things, like subscribing to this channel, smashing the like button, tapping the notification bell, and of course, making sure you're following us across all of our social media. Those details are in the description below. Victoria Daley wrote 2 books, Mommy Lives Here and Daddy Lives There, and Birthday Party at Daddy's House, in order to give separating parents the tools to talk about this difficult situation with their kids and to educate kids whose parents are still together about what different families look like. We spoke about her experience breaking up with her daughter's father, plus she has some helpful tips for parents on how to have this difficult talk and how to make sure your kids are coping okay with the transition. Let's bring her in. Victoria, thank you so much for joining us today on News You Can Use. So you're the author of Mommy Lives Here and Daddy Lives There and Birthday Party at Daddy's House. So what was the inspiration behind these books? Because they're different, right?
They are. So my co-parenting experience, I'll be honest, I was in a relationship, didn't work out, we separated.
Okay, how long
we were
have you been
together for 7 years, and we had a beautiful little girl named Paige Mia. Paige had a lot of questions at the time.
How old was
and
she?
She was 3. I wasn't sure how I was going to educate her on what was happening.
Okay.
But I didn't want her feelings to go unheard. So I decided to write a manuscript. And what I did was I took our dialogue that I had with her. So I explained, you know what, you're a lucky girl, you have 2 homes, you know, daddy lives there, mommy lives here. And I just ran with it.
So these books are resources for kids. I know on the back it says Mommy Lives Here and Daddy Lives There is not only compelling, but opens up a dialogue for parents and children. So what was your goal with publishing these books?
My goal is to encourage the dialogue.
And it's hard, right? It's hard for kids. It's hard to wrap your head around as an adult, right? Let alone as a child.
It's a difficult, and it's a sensitive topic, but it needs to be discussed. And oftentimes why it's not discussed is because it's looked at as negative. I wanted to change that and make it into a positive experience.
You really wanted to make like the situation more digestible for kids, but what made you realize that you had to do something in order to make this easier for your daughter?
You're not going to be the first and you're not going to be the last, but
sure.
I think it's important to raise that awareness and educate the children about the different family dynamics that are around or that are out there.
So even for children who say their parents are together, this is important?
Absolutely. Education is key. I think it's important to educate the little ones. So in schools, that's not often discussed, especially in children literature. It's not often discussed. So I think it's important to have these conversations. This will help teachers or parents build or generate the conversation surrounding co-parenting and divorce.
How long ago did you and Mia's father split up?
Maybe about 4 years ago.
What was that process like for you as a mother?
I'll be honest, it was tough. Depression, sadness, courts were involved. The adversities that I had to face while going through, it was a lot. But I knew that I had to dismantle the barriers and the challenges and kind of make it work.
Was it hard for you, obviously I don't know the situation in which you guys broke up, but was it hard for you, having grown up with parents who were split up, to now know that your daughter would be growing up the same way?
No, because I relied a lot on my faith to help me get through the breakup. And what I mean by that is I think everything happens for a reason. So I believe that my purpose was to have my daughter and to write this story for myself and other parents.
What parallels do you see and what differences do you see between yourself and your daughter?
What I didn't want was her feelings or her voice not to be heard. When I was growing up, and like you mentioned, I come from a co-parenting background, I wasn't able to, my voice wasn't heard. I wasn't able to even say how I feel. I'm Caribbean, so in the Caribbean, you know, you're too young, you don't worry about this
seen
argument.
and not heard.
Right. I was very sad. I was very hurt that daddy wasn't there, but I had no one to talk to. I couldn't express that. So just bringing myself back to that and not wanting my daughter to have to experience that.
What has been the hardest part of co-parenting for you as a mother?
Putting a smile on even on the hard days, because nobody's perfect, but I know that my daughter's watching me. Now we're at a good stage where, I mean, we're co-parenting fluidly. We're at a parallel stage of co-parenting, meaning, you know, we get along. There's not much arguments or anything like that. But when I am having a rough day or a rough time, because I have my daughter looking up to me, I have to like quickly get out of that
You can't
moment.
wallow in it.
No, I gotta quickly get out of that moment. And again, sometimes it's good to go through those emotions
100%.
and live through those feelings. But it's hard when you have someone looking up to you.
How do you think that parents could better support their children through, let's say, the dissolving of families, whether you're married and getting a divorce or you're partners and you're splitting up or one of you's moving out? How do you think that parents can better support their children so there isn't so much trauma?
Give them a voice. Give them a voice. That's all it is. Let them be heard. Children are humans as well.
So asking them how they're feeling.
Asking questions, open-ended questions, right? Not just yes and no. So let them actually express themselves to you. Sometimes children can't, in terms of articulating how they feel, maybe they want to draw a picture, and that could help them. So just allowing them to be themselves, allowing them to have a voice and express how they feel is important.
I know a lot of people feel like having that nuclear family, having mom and dad or two parents, no matter what that looks like, there in the house in a relationship with all the children, that's very important to a lot of people. What would you say to people who are in that situation but aren't happy?
It's not worth it. I think the most important thing is your children. Your children need to be happy. And I think that needs to be the focus. Once that's the focus, I think everything else will fall into place. It's not worth being happy. Your children are also observing you, right? You're on camera, like I mentioned earlier, all day. So they're also watching you, the arguments, the nasty fights, and that is not going to do well with them either.
If you had one message to your daughter, what would it be?
Oh, you're gonna let me cry. I did it for you. I'll just let her know that I did it for you. And everything that I do, I do for her. And just keep going, never give up. No matter your obstacles, no matter the adversities that are thrown at you or thrown your way. Like myself, I mean, I'd never thought now I'd be here. When I was co-parenting or when we just split up, I thought like that was it, my life was over, like that's it. So yeah, just there's a light at the end of the tunnel, no matter what barrier or challenge that you're going through.
And then just before we leave, I just want to mention that you have a third book coming out. So these are both storybooks, and then
I have an activity book coming out.
Okay.
Should be closer to the summer, so closer to the end of summer. And yeah, it's an activity book. It's fun, has some crosswords, puzzles, some drawing.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on News Key News.
Thank you for having me.
Hey BG Squad, thanks so much for checking out our channel, and listen to this, we have more great content for you, like this video right here and this video right here. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to this channel right now and tap that notification bell.